My name is Big G Half, and I'm from Inglewood, Neighborhood Piru, 500 block edition. Coming up in LA, my family tradition really was cripping, blue rag material cripping. So, and they was out the Hoovers. So that's all I kind of seen, as a youth, is my uncles giving up Hoover and blue rag material type shit and Jamestown prison pictures. So my mind was on that shit before I even transitioned over to the Inglewood Neighborhood Piru at a youthful age. It probably was like 9 or 10 years old when you recognize this, man. Or if you riding with them like I was young, you riding with them, and they'll tell you, hey man, you want to give it up to somebody out the car window, and they'll show you how to give it up, and it was an H finger and shit. You know what I'm saying?
At what age did your moms decide to move up out the Hoovers?
Well, we weren't actually staying in the Hoovers at that particular time. We had wind up navigating and moving around, and we was kind of like staying by Manual Arts. That was like the transition before it took us to Inglewood, California. You know what I'm saying? So you could say I still was, in my way youthful age of probably maybe 11 years old then, 11 and a half years old or something. You got 40s over there and stuff like that, and then on the other side of there, that I didn't know at a youthful age, that the brand, Fruittown Brands, was on the other side of that way too. It was hard times at that time, you know what I'm saying? All kind of pandemics was in the play, hardships, drugs and all that type shit. So, that was in the play with us relocating towards Inglewood. And plus, back then, family members, we'll be living all in one big ass house. It'd be about 7 families. So in the same token of that, we was also moving for our own independency, with moms. I probably was falling in because I was able to hit Highland Elementary for a minute. So you could say I still was in grade school, It's still all in youthful age, grade school roundings.
So Highland Elementary in Inglewood.
Correct.
And when you first got there, did you learn quickly that this is a blood area, or it was still too young to come to that realization?
Well, shit. I mean, I knew that place probably was occupied, but I didn't know it was heavily occupied. Cause sometime back then even up to now, you were moving some of these areas and it'll look cool today. And then later on tomorrow, you'll see homies on the block, dudes hanging all on the block. So that's kind of how it was. So when I moved into Inglewood, I'm up under the thing that, trying to go up under what my uncles is representing. And so when I finally move over there, I get to seeing it was, like after a day or two time over there, I get to seeing it's occupied by the Inglewood family bloods and the 500 block Inglewood Neighborhood Pirus.
So you thought at some point that your Crip affiliation was gonna be cool in Inglewood?
I mean, like I said, I'm still young. I'm not really knowing how shit is sectioned off, different community jurisdiction. I'm fully unaware of that shit. That shit could be, life-threatening and all that shit. So after some time, once I really found out what it was about, and a motherfucker was young and couldn't stand up under the pressure to that, you already know what the outcome was.
So at a young age, when you was living in Inglewood, people on the block was already who's you? Where you come from? Right. This a whole new style of a person. You know what I'm saying? Because even though I'm young, I got a whole different style than the homies at that time. So of course I stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm dressing different. I'm wearing little flannel type shirts, button all the way up to the top. So shit, I wasn't from around there. Do you remember who was one of the first Neighborhood Pirus you ever met once you moved over there?
Well, I would have to kind of put the homeboy One Punch first from my neighborhood, G1 Punch, because he was the first homie that really pressed me, and I told him I ain't with the shit, and then he got me to where did you leave from?
what was your last location before you moved here? And when I told him LA and all that shit, the homie fired on me. Gave me a 2-piece and shit. You know what I'm saying? And sent me off like that. I bailed back up in the house, book bags, camouflaging knot on my head. And so when the homie pressed the hood on me before he 2-pieced me, so now I'm in my youthful mind, I'm still like, damn, this shit didn't hit the fan. But I'm still naive to the shit, so I really don't look at the transformation so soon, homie. I'm still being in denial of this shit and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And what really brought me up to speed that the homies was taking this blood shit serious over there, I wind up seeing red rags on my door, red snakeskin belts on my door. So eventually I knew these dudes was on to something, homie.
So eventually, you go from elementary to junior high, Crozier?
Crozier.
And I'm sure things kind of pick up the pace when you get to Crozier?
Pick up the pace on Crozier. You know, I'm really not fully just, you know, superly tapped in with the homies, but the transformation is going because I'm staying right there on the central block, central location. So I'm right there, so the transformation is coming that I'm about to be ready to turn the hood, Inglewood, Neighborhood Piru.
How far from Rogers Park was you living?
Roger Park, you figure 3 blocks from the park. I was 3 blocks from the park, you know what I'm saying? And at that time, we didn't have different blocks, so it was just one main block, Hyde Park, 500 Beach.
It was just changing from 7th grade, starting for junior high to 6th grade.
I think, yeah, 6th to 8th or something like that.
It was 6th to 8th?
6th to 8th
for
or
Crozier
something
for
Crozier.
Okay.
And then from 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, we was heading over to Inglewood High after that.
Okay, so you was at that time when they first changed it, early 90s.
Exactly. So we still like kids falling up into junior high. We still coming up out of elementary school, basically.
What was Crozier Junior High or Crozier Middle School? What was it called when you was there? Was it already middle school?
Yeah, it was Crozier, and it was, I guess middle school started at 6th grade, so that's what that was at that time.
Was there a lot of homies, future homies already there?
If it was some homies, homie, they was like, they wasn't so heavily solidified, like really reputables from the turf, because everybody still was at that youthful time. But at that time, the hood did have homies that kind of went there, young homies, but they names wasn't so big and heavily like that. I was just really doing my thing, cause like I was saying earlier, I was still in my transition time. You know what I'm saying? Knowing homies or knowing dudes and picking up on what this shit was really about. You know what I'm saying? Because really before I started really locking it in with the homie stuff, I was locked in with the I-13s, homie. I kind of fell up under a dude named Gangster from I-13, which is RIP.